now come to the closing plenary, and it is my great pleasure and honor to invite to the stage Federal Chancellor and Head of the Department of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Ignazio Cassis. Benvenuto, signor Consigliere federale. È un piacere ritrovarla.
Grazie mille a lei, signora Sadri, un grande complimento per come ha condotto tutto questo lavoro. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I'd like to begin by saying at the end of this first day that my thoughts go out to the Ukrainian people suffering in the midst of this war, to those, and we just saw some touching images, to those who have lost a parent, loved one, a child, somebody else from the family. My inaction is not an end in itself. It saves lives and limbs and is a precondition for sustainable development in affected places. In Ukraine, confronted with such a large-scale contamination, it is stage 0 of reconstruction. In other words, my inaction is anything but a quiet road. And at the end of this high-level day, I'm proud to report that we have paved the way for continued international cooperation and support in this area, for good practices, for innovation. Our shared commitment to humanitarian mine action has brought together high-level representatives from governments, international and regional organizations, the private sector, academia, and I thank you all for being here. Your participation has demonstrated the importance of this collective engagement. And as we've heard, engagement not just for Ukraine, but for the global community. A lot has already been done with 3 recovery conferences in Lugano, London, Berlin, last year's international conference on demining in Zagreb, and all technical discussions which have led us to Lausanne today. Throughout the day, we've explored key issues that have touched us, provided insights, and hopefully brought us a step further. With much work ahead and concrete engagement needed. And I thank you also, Mr. Buffett, for your call for action in the last minutes. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Switzerland is actively financing projects in Ukraine that make a real difference on the ground, saving lives by reducing risks for the civilian population. In the vast territories suspected of mine contamination, we are supporting rapid surveys and efforts to return cleared land to those women we saw before, to the productive civilian use. Our focus has been particularly strong in the Kharkiv region, which has seen the highest number of mine-related accidents. Here, we partner with the Fondation Suisse de Déminage, FSD, one of the most experienced demining operators in Ukraine. We will continue this impactful collaboration. Last week, my government has decided to allocate an additional 30 million Swiss francs to the Fondation Suisse de Déminage so that it can expand its activities in the Kharkiv and Kherson regions until 2027. Starting in 2025, these efforts will be enhanced by innovative technologies, including the use of detection dogs and Swiss-made demining machines. Moreover, we place great importance on developing local expertises. with the aim of supporting a Ukrainian humanitarian demining NGO to become fully autonomous by 2027. Switzerland also engages in risk education and in victim assistance programs. We are working to prevent new victims and to assist the survivors who have suffered injuries by mines and explosive remnants of war. Supporting their rehabilitation and reintegration remains essential to our mission. Additionally, Switzerland was one of the first to support the UN initiative to return agricultural land to farmers, an effort that has now received broad international backing. This project is vital to restarting agricultural production in contaminated areas, contributing to both local and global food security. At the same time, we should not forget the continuous challenges in affected countries around the world, and Switzerland will keep up its assistance. Based on the Swiss Action Plan for Humanitarian Demining 23-26, we will continue strengthening the norms against mine, supporting mine action on the ground, and promoting innovative solutions. Excellencies, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, mine action in Ukraine is done for Ukraine, with Ukraine, and to a large part by Ukraine. Mine action program should be nationally owned and led, supported by international and national partners. In Ukraine, the basis for our cooperation and assistance is the recently adopted National Mine Action Strategy at the operational plan. It is now my honor to present to you the outcome document of this conference. We tried to imagine, to figure out something that could best synthesize what we are speaking about during these first 2 weeks. Tomorrow it will be another important week. But I guess you can read it on the screen, the Lausanne Call for Action. This document reflects our collective will to take concrete steps. We want to support the implementation of the strategy and address mine action contamination in Ukraine and around the world. The Lausanne Call for Action focuses on 3 key pillars: on people, on partners, on progress. Let me show you a video in order to present you our commitment.
The Lausanne Call for Action focuses on the 3 key pillars: people, partners, and progress. Under the people pillar, we commit to carrying out safe and high-quality mine action activities and to restore contaminated land to safe and productive use. We will also address the needs of victims and people with disabilities. Under partners, we call to continue international cooperation and to promote sustainable national capacities. The goal is to foster long-term and all-encompassing cooperation aligned with national strategic objectives. The pillar progress underscores the importance to explore new sources of funding. We emphasize the value of exchanging experiences, best practices and lessons learned, and want to develop and use innovative methods and technologies. The Lausanne Call for Action for a mine-free world.
So, thank you. You see, it's a simple summary of what we have been done during this preparation time for this conference and during this first day today. And it will be my great pleasure to hand over this document as a roadmap to Japan for the next year. This document is not just another declaration. It is a commitment, a call for collective action to restore safety, rebuild lives, and sustain long-term recovery. Our effort will remain on the global agenda with our eyes set on the next Ukraine Mine Action Conference in 2025, which, as I already said, will be hosted by Japan. I sincerely hope that by then, I really hope that by then we will be able to talk about both demining and peace in Ukraine. In closing, I thank you all for your participation, engagement, and dedication. The journey continues tomorrow with more technical discussion, of course, not less important, maybe even more important, and I encourage you to contribute to those conversations with, again, determination, engagement, and creative ideas. Thank you so much for being here today, and good luck for your work tomorrow.
Thank you very much indeed, Federal Chancellor Ignazio Cassis, for your important speech and for the presentation of the Lausanne Call for Action. Please take a seat. And now it is my honor to give the floor to the first Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine, Her Excellency Ms. Yulia Sheridenko, for concluding remarks and Ukraine's expectations regarding the Lausanne Call for Action. Welcome on stage.
Distinguished guests, partners, our friends. So we began our conference today with focusing on three main dimensions: people, progress, and partners. People are the heart and why we're here today. Your support for the mining means saving lives, giving Ukrainians the chance to return to their land, and enabling the economy to recover. And it's not only about the people in Ukraine, but it's also about thousands of countries worldwide, including those who are at high risk of hunger. Ukraine ranks among the top 10 wheat producers globally. 57 countries, including Spain, Romania, Indonesia, Turkey, Egypt, import Ukrainian grain. The primary consumer includes countries of the global south, such as Yemen, Nigeria, Sudan, Ethiopia. For example, even a single ship carrying 50,000 tons of Ukrainian wheat can feed the entire nation of Somalia for months. That's why demining matters to every global leaders who seeks sustainable peace. And the pursuit of sustainable peace is where the other two pillars, partnership and progress, coming in. So today, in partnership, we have made a tremendous contribution to this progress. So in financial support, thank you for this announcement that have been made by our partners today, and the total assistance to Ukraine has now exceeded to $1 billion. In innovation, we have signed an agreement with the government of United Kingdom of Switzerland and the company Palantir to adopt a systematic and institutional approach to innovation. We are launching a pilot project in the Kharkiv region to identify which areas should be demined first, ensuring the greatest impact for people and, of course, for the economy. From the point of building capacity, we have also received a technological reinforcement to enhance the capability of our deminers. And perhaps you saw the machines at the entrance. Another such machine will be delivered to state emergency service and cleared our field. There were very many other commitments today. I want to express my deepest thanks to all of you, our reliable partners, our friends, for your support and commitments to Ukraine's demining efforts. This support converts in million saved lives. It's also a proof of the international community's belief in our shared mission. But we still have a lot of work that should be done ahead. The challenge that we're facing is unprecedented, and we discussed it and repeated like several times today. So far, we have returned to productive use less than 8% of potentially mined land. Our goal to ensure 80% of Ukraine's contaminated land is returned to productive use within 10 years. Each hectare of land we clear means safety and opportunity for safety of Ukrainian people. The announcement support is a strong signal that the world keep standing with Ukraine. It's a signal of your faith in our ability to rebuild. It's a sign of your willingness to join us on this long and difficult road. Only by aligning international support with national strategic objectives will ensure the most effective achievements of the goal. The journey does not end with this conference. We must transform commitments in the long-term programs and sustainable action. Our joint Lausanne call for action is a guideline for current and for future support. We must continue to innovate and think creatively about how we deal with the challenge ahead. This includes exploring new and diverse ways of financing, of innovation, of clearance, of smart solution, how we can support the miner not just today, but for many years to come. The road ahead will require long-term planning and commitment. But a fresh idea and strong financial support, we can ensure that Ukraine and the rest of the world can finally be free from the terrible impact of landmines. Ukraine and our government is very grateful, and we will work together with each of you. Our collective efforts today lay the base for a safer, better tomorrow, not just for Ukraine, but for all who believe in the power of progress, in the power of partnership, in the power of peace. Дякую вам. Thank you. And героям слава. Thank you for this conference. And of course, I hope to see all of you in Japan next year.
Thank you very much. First Deputy Prime Minister Sviridенko, thank you very much. And now we take a look at a video from Croatia.
Razminiranje miniranih i minski sumnjivih područja je zahtjevan i vrlo opasan posao koji dugo traje i zahtjeva znatna ulaganja.
Od početka sustavnog razminiranja do svibnja 2024. godine pronađeno je uništeno nešto manje od 100.000 minsko-eksplozivnih sredstava, te više od 267.000 komada neeksplodiranih ubojnih sredstava.
Kad govorimo o protuminskom djelovanju u zadnjih 5 godina, mogu s pokrićem reći da je situacija više nego dobra, jer su do sada svi zacrtani planovi razminiranja po županijama uspješno provedeni.
Republika Hrvatska će razminirati preostala minski sumnjiva područja, a građani i gospodarstvo će konačno bez straha koristiti sva prirodna bogatstva. Naša domovina bez mina uskoro će postati stvarnost.
I now invite the Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of the Republic of Croatia, His Excellency Mr. Goran Grilić Radman, to take the floor.
Thank you so much, and Federal Councilor Kazis, Liebe Ignazio, caro amico, First Deputy Prime Minister Sviridенko, dear Julia, draga Julia, State Secretary Yoshi Fumi Tsuge-san, my colleagues, ministers here, the ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. I am very pleased to participate on behalf of the Croatian government and the ceremonial presentation of the Lausanne Call for Action. I hope you will agree with me that the video we just watched provided an excellent backdrop for this closing session. Namely, it clearly demonstrates that humanitarian demining is of paramount importance for the return to normal life and everyday activities. Croatia is fully aware of the fact that humanitarian demining is an expensive and dangerous venture. But the safety of our people is the most important and comes first and foremost. This is exactly the reason why funds invested in mine clearance activities should be perceived as investment, not as expense. Our own Croatia's experience of mine problem has made Croatia a committed supporter of international efforts to address the security and humanitarian concerns posed by mines. And I am pleased that our decades-long experience and expertise in this field has been put to a full use in the case of our friendly Ukraine. Let me remind you that on the 9th October, Croatia hosted the third summit Ukraine-Southeast Europe. I told you already, informed you today the panel, however, but it's good to emphasize once more the importance of this summit. On this occasion, Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signed the agreement on long-term security cooperation and support between the two countries. Continuation of our strong assistance to Ukraine in humanitarian demining features prominently in this agreement. That said, we believe that the Lausanne Call for Action provides a solid basis for even better streamlining of international assistance to Ukraine. Each of the key sectors noted in the document, people, partners, and progress, are crucial elements for a successful mine action system. It is exactly why Croatia fully supports and commends the document which is being presented to you today. In closing, I can assure you that Croatia will continue to assist Ukraine by sharing our own experience, know-how, and capabilities in mine action. And I invite all of you present here today to work tirelessly, hand in hand, for the ultimate goal, and that is a mine-free Ukraine, a Ukraine safe for each and every of its citizens. In this vein, I'd like to remind you of the speech of the US President Woodrow Wilson. He delivered just before the US entered the First World War. Namely, he said that there must be not balance of power, but community of power, not a controlled rivalry, but a controlled, but an organized common peace. I'm sure and I believe that this words seamlessly could be applied today in a joint effort. So thank you so much. Slava Ukraini.
Remarks. And finally, I invite the State Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, His Excellency, Mr. Yofushu Mitsuge, to take the floor. And I remind you that you have the English translation available. Thank you.
I am Yoshifumi Tsuge, State Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan. I would like to welcome that the discussion successfully took place on the first day today with the adoption of an outcome document, and I'd like to express my respect to Foreign Minister Mr. Cassis and First Deputy Prime Minister Ms. Syridenko for hosting this conference. Under the recognition that unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force, such as Russia's aggression against Ukraine, could occur anywhere. And Japan is promoting robust support for Ukraine and imposing strict sanctions on Russia in order to realize a just and lasting peace in Ukraine as soon as possible. So far, in the fields of humanitarian, financial recovery, and reconstruction, we have announced relevant support exceeding $12 billion USD in total and implemented these steadily. Japan will continue its support in various fields at its center, including mine action that we discussed today, and also rebuilding livelihoods such as electricity and others, agricultural production recovery, and industrial promotion, democracy and governance enhancement based on the needs of Ukraine and by utilizing Japan's experience and knowledge. Japan regards global support for mine action as a priority issue, and in July this year, we announced Japan's comprehensive package of assistance to humanitarian mine action and Japan-Cambodia Land Mining Initiative. There, our vision to implement comprehensive support according to the various needs and stages is held in areas from mine risk education, land mine clearance, to victims assistance in collaboration with various partners. Also, Japan promotes the HDP Nexus, which maximizes the effects of humanitarian assistance, development cooperation, and peace efforts by collaborating each effort. And so Japan's package and initiative, including the mine clearance in Ukraine and mine risk education, precisely contribute to this approach. From this point of view, in addition to supplying Japanese mine detectors and mine clearance machines to Ukraine, Japan is conducting training on how to use the machineries and awareness-building programs for citizens, among other efforts. In August, under the cooperation of JICA and Cambodian Mine Action Center, we invited staffs of State Emergency Service of Ukraine to Japan and Cambodia and conducted operational training for using Japanese high-performance mine clearance machines. Japan, in order to advance mine action for Ukraine globally, decided to host the Ukraine Mine Action Conference next year. We will proceed with the preparations to not only send the message about Japan's experience in mine action to the world, but also to fully carry forward the achievements of this conference from Switzerland and to make the conference a place to share the latest insights towards the recovery and reconstruction of Ukraine. We look forward to seeing you in Japan next year. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency, for your speech. As we heard, Japan will be the organizer of the next year's Mine Action Conference. Therefore, Federal Chancellor Ignazio Cassis will symbolically hand over the Lausanne Call for Action to Japan. And in order to do this, I invite Ambassador Beatrice Scher, responsible for the organization of the Ukraine Mine Action Conference, to come on stage and bring the Lausanne Call for Action. Thank you.
Mr. Federal Councillor, I have the honor to hand over to you the Lausanne Call for Action. And I'm very happy to announce that we have already 42 countries supporting it.
Great.
This conference outcome document is printed on a very special paper, and it has a symbolic meaning. Mr. Federal Councillor.
Thank you. May I invite you to join me, Julia, because we are co-hosts of this conference, and of course I want to share it with you. We tried to invent a paper on which we could write last the call for action, but at the same time, which is a good seed to put in the terrain in order to have plants growing up. And we decided that this should be a symbolic gesture to give over to the Minister of Japan in order for you to have the best possible inspiration for making another step next year. Thank you, dear colleague and dear Minister. I hand over to you, together with the Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine, this call for action, and together with the first conference for the next conference.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. しっかり頑張ってまいります。
And we will do our
Thank you very
own
much
effort,
indeed,
best
Excellency.
efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, really.
Thank you. Grazie mille.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Please come.
Please return to your seat. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of this first day of the Ukraine Mine Action Conference, and I would like to thank you, all of you, for your participation and the important contributions made, culminating in the commitment to uphold the Lausanne Call for Action. The official program will continue at 5:30 p.m. when we transfer to the Olympic Museum for a guided tour and a reception. Buses will leave at 5:30 p.m. just in front of the conference building. What's next? Until then, please enjoy the coffee break and visit the artificial minefield. While completely safe for educational purposes, it is a stark reminder of the dangers faced daily by millions of civilians in Ukraine and around the world. The demining demonstrations will be done by Ms. Nadia Kudryavtseva, whom you saw as a panelist this afternoon, as well as Ms. Catherine Atkins, the first Swiss woman deminer. There is also a side event organized by the World Food Programme and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN on restoring food security and livelihoods through mine action, starting at 5:15, right now, I think, p.m. in Room Bern. Don't forget to do also a virtual reality experience in the virtual reality tent just outside the hall, presented by the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining. And for those of you who have not yet had the opportunity to visit the exhibition of Mr. Giles Dewley, you will now have the time for this. We will meet again tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I wish you a very pleasant evening in Lausanne, and thank you again.